It's just about this time of the year that we're thinking, oh, spring's not too far away.
43 days.
That's not that bad, but it's hard to think spring when you see all the snow that's on the ground. However, we are giving you a break from all the snow and making you think spring, right?
Yeah, Tom is out at the Easton Home and Garden Show. Tom, you've always got these nice venues that are warm and indoors.
Yeah, I decided not to do any snow angels this morning. We had the opportunity. We had the opportunity to get out here, and hey, if you've got a question for me, email it to gardening@nbc4i.com. I'll get that on my phone, and in our last segment, we'll answer those questions. And I want to circle back to answer a couple or give a little bit more detail about wisteria pruning in our last segment. But right now, I'm joined by Mike Sileargy with MLH Landscaping. Mike, you've put in a nice display here at the home show, and you've got some forest plant material in this wonderful pond water in the background. Tell us about your display.
Yep, here at the Easton Home Show, we brought spring indoors for all our viewers, get them out of the wintry mix. We have some spring flowering forsythia and a live waterfall. There's a lot to see today at the Easton Home Show.
And in our next segment, Mike and I are actually going to walk through how to properly build a patio. You know, building a patio, you need to know what you're doing, and there are some specific steps that need to be taken to do a patio correctly. We're showing a nice patio floor here. So in our next segment, we're going to show you just exactly how to do it.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Hire a professional.
Coming up next, we will rejoin Mr. Tom Wood, who was live at the Easton Home and Garden Show. He's getting us all set for spring. At least it looks that way, and it looks great. We are trying desperately to get you into the spring spirit because it's kind of uplifting to know that it's not that far away.
Yeah, Groundhog Day is usually the halfway point between the start and end of winter. We're almost there. Tom Wood is live this morning at the Easton Home and Garden Show. Tom, staying warm on this cold Saturday morning out there?
Yeah, it's great to be inside this morning. I mentioned earlier, no snow angels this morning. I'm joined with Mike Sileargy with MLH Landscaping, and Mike put in this display, and we're going to talk in a minute about actually how to build a patio, but I wanted to point out that you've got some forsythia here that are in water. What'd you do here, Mike?
You can bring a touch of spring inside to your home. Just go outside and a spring flowering forsythia, cut that and place that in some water in a vase. Inside in about 7 to 10 days. That will bud out and bloom.
So you could do that right now. You can go out, if you've got a forsythia, you can go out, take those cuttings, bring them inside, and get that beautiful little burst of yellow on a snowy day.
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, so you've got a nice patio display here, and I know that you're an authorized unilock contractor, so you've had to go through some steps to make sure that you're qualified to do patios. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. And what does it start with?
It starts with a good design, because you have to know what you want, what you need, and how's that going to function in the area. And a lot of people are used to the traditional 2D design there, but here at MLH, we can also put everything in a 3D version so you can actually see exactly how it will work in your outdoor living area.
And that's really cool. I mean, it's an actual model that you can fly through and show the customer, the client, what it's going to look like when it's done.
Yep, make sure the table's going to fit and you're going to be able to get around and you're really going to be happy there in the end.
All right, let's take folks through the proper way to build a patio. You did a nice little cutaway for us here. Talk us through what you've got here.
Well, what you got to do is you need to dig down about 10 inches and get the firm subgrade, and then we'll lay down.
So I like to say 6 + 1 + 3 = 10, if that math is right.
That's great, Tom.
All right.
We lay down a geotextile fabric here, and then we put in a minimal of 4 to 6 inches of gravel base compacted. This keeps the patio from sinking.
And you want to compact this in 4-inch lifts, no more than 4 inches of gravel at a time, and compact that.
Correct, with a plate compactor normally.
Now why do you put this fabric down over the ground? What's the purpose of that?
This is great insurance to keep your aggregate from settling into the base of the dirt underneath it over the life of the patio.
So this keeps the material separated.
Correct.
Great. And then what do you got here? This is a real fine aggregate?
That's what you level the pavers on, and is also referred to as the drainage bed. That's, again, just a finer grade limestone.
Awesome. And then you've got, this is I think the Unilock quartz stone.
That is Unilock quartz stone. We got that from Mr. Mulch here. And what we've done with that is we've hardened that sand with a liquid epoxy sealer. And as you see, that sand is as hard as mortar, but still has flexibility through the freeze-thaw cycle.
Here's some that is the normal sand that hasn't hardened up.
And this has really taken pavers to the next level in the last 10 years, where they can be installed and really withstand the test of time.
Well, that's awesome. Hey, in our next segment, we'll come back and wrap up a little bit more about the patios, and I'll have answers to viewer questions in our last segment.
Learned something new there. I didn't realize you're supposed to put like an epoxy inside of the sand. I thought you just put the sand in and just compact it real hard and hope it stays.
See, but that's why those segments are so worthwhile, because you pick up so much useful information. So thanks, Tom. Good job out there.
Well, our Tom Wood is live this morning at Easton Home and Garden Show. He's been looking at some, they look like Christmas trees that were behind you. What do you got for us this half hour, Tom?
Well, yeah, those are, I think those are actually white fir or concolor fir that are in the background. I'm with Mike
Sileargy.
Sileargy. I want to call him Silgari. I screwed it up all morning. Mike Sileargy with MLH Landscape, and we just talked in the last segment about the proper way to build a patio, and we really want to emphasize the design aspect and the planning aspect, right? We're showing this plan here. Mike, why is it so important to focus on the design?
Well, easily said, it's easier to change it on paper than once it's in the backyard or once it's being constructed. So again, with the 3D designs, you really want to make sure you're happy and get to see it first.
And we've got our clients here in the background selecting, going through some Paver books here. Unilock does a nice job with display books to really give you a lot of choices or how to select through. Do you use that?
Yes, we do. And they also have they're on the forefront of all the new things in the paving industry, really coming out with some products that not other manufacturers have.
That's awesome. When we come back, I'm going to answer a couple of questions, revert back to a wisteria pruning, a little more detail on that. And, it's really important to start with a plan. Planning is the best part or the most important part of any good patio or landscape installation.
Absolutely.
We'll see you here in a few minutes.
Yep, you got to have that plan first. You can change that plan, but put something down in writing and then go from there.
Makes
Good job.
it a lot easier.
A lot of you have gardening on mind, and you are wanting Tom Wood to answer your questions. So he is going to address the emails that you have sent in this morning. That's coming up in just a moment. Are you ready to get those questions answered? We're checking back in with Tom Wood. Tom, you ready for your first question?
Go.
Okay, this is from Jeff. He says, how do you keep wild toadstool from growing in the spring and summer season?
That's tough to do. Toadstools are a fungi, and the spores are really present in the landscape. They're growing on decaying matter, old wood or maybe thatch from the lawn. There are some fungicides that you can apply. Fungicides are really expensive, and the timing has to be really precise. When the conditions of moisture and temperature, and you've got the spores, the host, the spores, the fungi are present, then you'll have these things pop up. Kind of the best thing to do is just go out with a broom or a stick and just break them off and let them dry up. That's probably the best advice there.
Tom, I've got a real serious question for you. What do you call a mushroom that goes to all the parties? A fungi.
I don't know.
You really do have a serious question, though.
I do. Okay.
I'll bet you're a fun guy, aren't you?
He is a fun guy.
I was waiting to ask you
is.
that. Debbie asks, I'm sorry. Debbie asks, what is the best spot to plant tomatoes? We've seen a lot of those, what are those, topsy-turvies? Are those things good?
That's kind of a fun thing. It's maybe almost a little bit more of a novelty thing, putting them upside down, letting them grow up. But they, certainly can do that. You really want a full sun area, good soil. Tomatoes are pretty resilient. One thing that you don't want to do is plant them near a black walnut, because the black walnut will actually secrete a toxin that will kill the tomatoes. So stay away from black walnuts in generally a full sun location. Hey, I wanted to circle back on I got a question about how to prune wisteria last week, and what I said was correct in terms of pruning it twice a year, winter and summer, but I wanted to give a little bit more detail. I'm actually going to demonstrate this on a weeping cherry, but it gives kind of the concept. What you're doing in the wintertime is you're nipping back to create what looks kind of like a little hand. So you've got these little spurs where those flower buds will occur. Then in the summertime, you get these long runners. I mean, wisteria will grow, I've seen them grow as much as 12, 14 feet a year. And you get these real long runners. So what you'll want to do in the summertime is nip those back to those spurs that you cut before, about 6 to 8 inches from that hand that we talked about. And that'll give you your best opportunity for great blooms. Hey, next week I've got a great interview with two industry icons, Dr. Michael Durr and Bill Hendricks. I was able to catch up with them recently down at the Scent Show. You won't want to miss that interview.
All right, Tom, thank you for the work today.